What if I told you there is a plant that manufactures soap inside its own roots? That you can boil the roots, strain the liquid, and wash your clothes, your skin, your hair with the foam it produces? That the Romans grew it beside their bathhouses for 2,000 years? That medieval wool mills planted it along their walls to clean raw fleece? That museum conservators still use it today because modern detergents are too harsh for ancient textiles? And that this plant is a perennial. It comes back every year. It spreads by itself. It costs nothing. It requires nothing. And the $210 billion soap and detergent industry has never once mentioned it. Not because it does not work, but because it works too well and it cannot be sold. Hit subscribe and the bell icon. Every like and every share helps preserve this forgotten wisdom together. The archive opens not in a factory, but in a Roman bathhouse. Sometime around 70 AD, a Greek physician named Pedanius Dioscorides completed De Materia Medica, 5 volumes, over 600 plants. 1,500 years is the standard medical reference across 3 continents. Inside that text, he described a plant he called Strautheon. Its root, crushed in water, produced foam. It cleaned wool. It cleaned skin. No animal fat, no lye, no ash. A root and water. That was soap for the Roman Empire. By the medieval period, that same plant appeared in the fulling mills of Yorkshire. The wool trade was the backbone of England's economy. Raw fleece had to be cleaned before it could be spun. The mills used 2 things, fuller's earth and fuller's herb. The same plant, the same root, the same chemistry Dioscorides documented 1,000 years earlier. By the colonial era, it had crossed the Atlantic. Every American homestead kept a patch of it beside the washing area. They called it bouncing bet, from the French battoir, the paddle a washerwoman used to beat laundry clean. This is soapwort, Saponaria officinalis, the plant that made soap for every civilization that touched it, and the one a single company erased in a single generation. The chemistry is not complicated. It is elegant. Soapwort roots contain a molecule called saponin, a glycoside with 2 ends. One end is nonpolar. It grabs oil, grease, and fat. The other end is water-soluble. It dissolves in water. That is the definition of a surfactant. The same function every bottle of shampoo and body wash on Earth is designed to perform. A 2023 peer-reviewed study measured saponin concentration in cultivated soapwort roots over 5 years. The result: up to 20% by dry weight, not a trace amount, not a novelty. 1/5 of the root by mass is a molecule that makes soap. Now compare it to what replaced it. In 2021, researchers published a study in the journal Molecules comparing soapwort extract directly against 4 synthetic surfactants. They tested all 5 on human keratinocyte skin cells. The half-lethal concentration of soapwort on skin cells was 0.4%. The half-lethal concentration of sodium lauryl sulfate was 0.0012%. Not slightly better. 333 times less toxic to human skin. They tested protein damage. SLS dissolved 48% of the test protein. Dissolved 6%, not 46, not 30, 6. They tested oil emulsification. SLS stripped skin oils aggressively. Soapwort emulsified enough to clean, not enough to destroy the skin's natural protective barrier. The researchers concluded, and this is a direct quote, that soapwort extract affects the skin. Models to a clearly different extent than any of the tested synthetic surfactants. Published, peer-reviewed, freely accessible, and it does not stop at cleaning. Published studies confirm soapwort saponin is antimicrobial, active against Escherichia coli, active against Staphylococcus aureus, active against Salmonella. The root that makes soap also kills bacteria. In the Middle East, soapwort extract has been used for centuries as an emulsifier in tahini halva. It stabilizes foam in traditional beer brewing. A single molecule. It cleans, it disinfects, it emulsifies food, it stabilizes foam, and it grows for free, every spring, without being planted. For 2,000 years, that was how humans washed themselves. A root in water, free. Then 1837, Cincinnati, Ohio. A candle maker from England named William Proctor married into the same family as a soap maker from Ireland named James Gamble. Their father-in-law told them to stop competing and start cooperating. They did. Proctor and Gamble. 1879. They launched Ivory Soap, white, mild. It floated in water. They marketed it as 99 44 100% pure. That is not a laboratory measurement. That is an advertising line. December 21st, 1882, they placed an advertisement in The Independent, a religious weekly newspaper. Budget, $11,000. The first nationally advertised soap brand in American history. The Smithsonian Institution still holds the original, catalog number SOVA and Ma AC 0791. That single advertisement did not just sell soap. It redefined what soap was. Within one generation, soap went from something you grew to something you bought. Within 2 generations, soapwort went from an essential household plant to a roadside weed nobody could name. Within 3 generations, the global soap and detergent market reached $210 billion. Projected to reach $431 billion by 2034, $210 billion. For a function a perennial root performs for free. Nobody banned soapwort. Nobody passed a law against it. They did something more effective. They replaced the plant with a brand. They replaced the root with a bottle. They replaced free with $4.99. And they replaced 2,000 years of knowledge with one magazine advertisement. A plant that cannot be patented cannot be sold. A product that never expires cannot generate repeat revenue. And a root that grows beside the road cannot sustain a supply chain. The plant did not fail. The business model required it to disappear. Reclaiming it requires no laboratory, no supply chain, no purchase. Sow soapwort seeds in autumn. They require cold stratification. 4 weeks of winter cold breaks the dormancy. They germinate in spring, transplant into full sun or partial shade. No fertilizer, no irrigation system, no amendments. USDA hardiness zones 3 through 9. That covers nearly every climate in the continental United States. The plant is classified as invasive in many states. It spreads by underground rhizomes so aggressively that land managers cannot contain it. The plant that makes free soap is so successful at growing that governments classify it as a pest. It returns every spring for 15 to 20 years without replanting. Harvest roots after the first year, chop into 1 centimeter pieces, simmer in water for 20 minutes, cool, blend, strain through muslin, whisk. What remains is a foamy, gentle, effective cleanser. For hands, for hair, for clothes, for the most delicate fabrics. Cost, 0, or crush fresh leaves between wet hands. Instant lather, no boiling, no straining, no equipment. Dry the chopped roots. Store in a jar. They keep indefinitely. A permanent supply of soap. No expiry date, no factory, no plastic bottle, no barcode. And soapwort is not alone. The soapberry tree produces fruit containing up to 37% saponin, nearly double. In India, soap nuts at 15% saponin have been used for centuries, crushed in a cloth bag, dropped in a bucket. That is laundry detergent. Entire regions of South Asia still use them. This is not one forgotten plant. This is an entire category of chemistry the modern soap industry made invisible. The soap industry does not want you to know that a perennial root produces the same surfactant molecule they manufacture from petroleum derivatives. The chemical industry does not want you to know that their most common synthetic surfactant triggers skin irritation in 22% of dermatology patients tested. The textile conservation community already knows. They use soapwort to clean the shroud of Turin in medieval tapestries because synthetic detergents damage fibers that survived centuries. The International Council of Museums discussed saponin as a green surfactant alternative in 2023. The most trusted institutions on Earth trust this plant with irreplaceable artifacts. And the industry that replaced it trusts you to never learn its name. It is called soapwort. It has been making soap for 2,000 years, and it is growing in a ditch beside a road near you right now. The soapwort never needed a brand. It never needed an advertisement. It never needed a plastic bottle or a barcode or a shelf. It needed soil and water and time, and it has all three. It always has. What was buried beneath marketing budgets and shopping habits does not stay buried forever. Like the root pushing through cracked pavement every spring, the knowledge returns when the world is ready to remember. If this vault opens something for you, subscribe and hit the bell. Every like and every share helps preserve this wisdom. The next vault opens soon.